Panama has been facing a new migration trend it's referring to as reverse migration. The country usually sees migrants head north with the goal of reaching the United States, but now migrants are making their way south, and many of them are from Venezuela, a country Panama does not have a great diplomatic relationship with. CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano joins me now from Studio 57. So, Lilia, good to see you. You spoke with the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs for Panama. What did he say about this reverse migration issue?
Well, Vlad, as you know, I like to look at the issue of immigration throughout the whole region. Tonight on the CBS Evening News, I'm talking to DHS about the Trump policies that are actually pushing this movement of people who used to go north, now moving south. Let's listen to what Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs, Carlos Ruiz Hernandez, told me, and I'll bring more context into that.
Yeah, I think this reverse migration phenomena that's about to start, it's brand new. It's something that we started dealing with very recently, as of last week. We are getting this influx of migrants coming in. And what they want is to go to Colombia. Yeah. They can't to go to Venezuela. They can walk back through the Darien Gap and go through this treacherous, and we cannot let them do that.
So here's what's really interesting, Vlad, in particular to Panama. Panama does not have a diplomatic relation with Venezuela. The majority of the people that they're encountering, he says hundreds of people now in their northern border. It used to be people coming from the south, from countries like Venezuela, up towards the U.S. Now they're coming back. He says it is because of the Trump policies. It is because of the deportation. It is because of the loss of the CBP1 app that gave people a possibility, an opportunity, and an appointment to make their case for asylum. They don't have a diplomatic relation with Venezuela, so they cannot repatriate people to Venezuela. They're trying to send them to Colombia and have the migrants cross from Colombia to Venezuela. But Colombia is saying, we're dealing with our own deportees. We are dealing with our own issues. We're not going to be receiving Venezuelans from any country, not from the U.S. and not from Panama. So Panama is trying to figure out, what to do with the people who are trying to return now to their country.
So let me ask you a question. Did the Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs address the 300 or so migrants sent from the U.S. that were reportedly stuck in a Panamanian hotel?
He did. I asked him about that. And I also asked, is this going to be a trend? Are you going to be repatriating a lot of immigrants from the U.S.? And he said, no, this was kind of a unique thing. It was something like 3 airplanes. They received around 300 people, or nearly 300. He said the majority of them had accepted to self-deport. But we saw earlier this week the reporting from the New York Times that found that there were people from Iran who were going to be religiously persecuted if they went back to their country. They said that they were in fear for their lives. There were Chinese migrants who said that they were afraid of a political persecution. And so I asked them, what are you going to do with these people who are afraid and who say they have a claim for refugee status or asylum? And he said, look, there are resources there, and UNHCR is going to be there to provide those resources or access or begin that process with them. We're going to, of course, follow up and see where that stands in several weeks. But it is kind of a new and unique situation that Panama finds itself in after reaching these deals that, as you know, some of them had already started with the Biden administration. Panama's relations with the U.S. funding their repatriation flights. But some are new because or following President Trump's threats on the Panama Canal. It is a lot of geopolitics happening there in the point that unites North and South America and Central America.
Yeah, really fascinating, Lilia, and I'm absolutely looking forward to the report tonight on the CBS Evening News. Thank you very much for spending some time with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Vlad.